What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. My name is Splattercat, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit special. It's kind of a slow week. It's a slow week, but it's not a slow week. Like, there's just enough stuff to get me to, like, the end of the week taking a look at it. But there's still going to be, like, gaps, and I've got a feeling it's going to stay slow next week. So anyways, today we're going to be doing something special. We're going to take a look at Bannerlord in 2021. I've made no secret of the fact that when this game came out, I was really disappointed by it. Like, I was not happy with the state of the game in the slightest. I was kind of like, about the whole thing. It kind of felt like it was a downgraded warband to me, and I was also disappointed about the fact that it released in early access after like a gazillion years in development. And so anyways, how is the game in 2021? We're going to dive on in today, and I'm going to play the game while doing my commentary as I normally do, and we'll sort of talk about the way that the game has changed, what things have moved around, what things I think are positive, what things I think are negative, and whether or not it's worth your purchase in the year of the 2021s. Okay, I've been streaming the game quite a bit lately, as well as playing in my free time. So spoiler alert, I am enjoying the 1 year later build a lot better than I enjoyed the release build. There's still some flaws, there's still some issues, but we'll talk about those when we get there. So we have arrived. Welcome to my current game. This is the one that I've been playing sort of in my free time and sort of on stream over at twitch.tv/SplatterCatGaming. I'm playing as the Sturgians for right now. If you've never seen this game before and you have no idea what's going on, it's going to kind of dilute the video a little bit if I spend a ton of time explaining stuff. So, like, I don't know, go watch my initial impressions of the game or go watch somebody else's long play, get kind of a feel for what it is, and then maybe you can come back and I can give you my advice then. I'll do my best to explain stuff as we go around, but it sort of is what it is. As of right now, we're equipped pretty decently as far as I remember. Okay, maybe not. I've got like some lamellar armor over here. I've got a severed bear head on my head. I'm wearing like some kind of weird hanky as shoulder pads, but I do have chainmail feet, so that's pretty cool. So we're at an okay start. We got like a little bit of money. We've got a little bit of loot. I absolutely don't remember what I was doing with all of this. So, I think we're just going to have to figure that out. If you don't know what Bannerlord is, effectively it's a game where you run your own mercenary company. It's kind of combined with a life simulator and also a little bit of RPG on in there. The game has an innovative combat system that I think is what really draws most people into Warband and Bannerlord. You attack by aiming certain directions, you block in certain directions. It makes for a very immersive fighting experience. I don't recall what it was that I was getting up to while I was playing, so let's dive on into a city and take a look. Obviously, we've got a little bit of frame lag going on right now. This current build is a little rough in that regard. As I've been playing it, there is like a ton of menu lag, and there's like these occasional frame drops that you can't really like describe. They do get in the way of kind of making the experience like super enjoyable, so I would watch out for that. But anyways, let's sell off some of this loot that we've got inside of our inventory right now, because frankly, I don't even recall what I was doing with it anyways. We've got some hardwood right there. I can sell that on off. A little bit of charcoal laying around. Get rid of some of this loot from dead guys that I've acquired. Apparently, I've been getting up to something around here. And now that I've sold off all of my loot, let's take like a quest or something to occupy our time for a little bit. At the moment, I am indeed a mercenary for the Kingdom of Sturgia. I don't know who they're at war with right now. They're apparently at war with the Empire. We'll probably go do some Empire fights. I don't know what's inside my army right now. Let's take a look too. Menu lag. Like I said, dude, the menus are super laggy in the current build. They're like brutally laggy. Actually, I've got like an okay army going on, dude. This is not that bad of an army. We've got a few recruits rattling around and a few low tiers, but like we're in okay shape. We could absolutely kind of like jump in on a fight if we wanted to help a lord out. So maybe I'll consider that on the way too. For right now, we've got a task right here to escort a merchant caravan. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. There's going to be, oh good, there was no lag that time around. That's nice. Yeah, I will escort your caravan. Sure, I've got nothing better to do anyways. So there's our little caravan. It's going to be tooling around. So some of the big fixes that they've thrown into Bannerlord. Wait, what? What the hell was that quest? Did you literally walk 5 feet outside the village, then walk back into the village? I am so vexed right now about what's going on. All right, fair enough, whatever. So among the things that they've added to the game since the last time that we played it, the first and foremost, one of my biggest complaints about the game when it first came out was the fact that none of the skill trees worked. Every single one of these skills was broken, like literally every single one of them. And so the game, when you're leveling up, it divides things into weapons, it divides things into kind of skill types, it divides things into how fast you run, how good you are at riding horses, how good you are at scouting, your tactical skill. And as you level these up, Like, every 25 levels, you get to pick a perk, kind of Fallout style, but none of the perks worked. Like, pretty much all of the perks were broken. Well, not only did they fix all of the perks are now working for the most part. I think pretty much every single one of them is working except for a few. There's a website up that actually answers whether or not they're working, but they also reworked the perks to make them more meaningful as you're playing the game, and I think that that was a change that was really, really smart. That's a fantastic play. So let's take, for example, back in the day when you got one-handed skill, you got like a bunch of abilities that made you swing a little faster, maybe block a little bit better, maybe deal a tiny bit more damage, but it wasn't enough to actually feel meaningful. The amount of bonus that you got from just the raw skill, increasing your speed and increasing your damage, dwarfed anything that you were going to kind of pull out of the skill tree, and that's assuming in the first place that the skill tree was even working, which, spoiler alert, it wasn't. They've completely reworked the entire system now, so not only do these skills actually give you meaningful bonuses, but on top of that, every time you take a skill inside of one of these trees, it modifies your troops and makes them better universally. So it sort of, I guess it blows the horn and it sort of draws attention to the fact that your character is good at this thing, and he's training his troops. Therefore, if he's good at this thing, he's going to train your troops to be better at that thing too, because he has the requisite experience in order to do it. So take, for example, in our one-handed skill right here, we've got the deflect skill. That increases our weapon handling by 20%, which is a considerable increase in your block and attack speed. But not only does it do that, which is a big meaningful bonus, if you read the second line, it says troops in the formation you are leading have their one-handed combat effectiveness as though they were one tier higher, effectively adding 30 points or so of one-handed skill to every single unit in your army. This is a massive yes from me. This makes every single army feel unique, and every character influences their army in different ways. It's entirely possible that on multiple playthroughs, you will have one army that you lead that are absolutely just shock troops. They are fantastic heavy infantry that are great at just murdering other infantry and sprinting across the field into battle. In another playthrough, your troops might not be as good at combat, but they'll have tons of bonuses against cavalry, which makes them like a fantastic horsebreaker army. In other cases, you might have a bunch of bonuses to crossbows or bows, or you might have your armies built such that your high riding skill means that all of your men's horses have way more HP, way more maneuverability, and way more quality. I really, really like that change. I can't express to you how good that change is because it adds diversity to your playthroughs. It makes it so every army you lead after a 50-hour campaign where you've basically done everything, you can start over with a completely different build, and not only will your character feel different, but your entire army will feel different, and your character will fit into other factions better depending on what his focus is. And so that was a very, very, very good change. And that's just kind of like first on the list, but I think first and foremost, that's the best change that they've made so far. I do have a skill point to put in right here, so I can increase my mounted damage by 5% with one-handers, and then my cavalry troops get more melee damage. Or I can go a shield bearer, so I can reduce the effect of wielding a shield on my combat movement speed, and then everybody in my army moves 5% faster. Probably going to take that one right there. That sounds pretty good. We've also got a riding skill we can take over here. We can be well strapped. It's going to increase my horse's hit points by 20% and all of my cavalry troops' horses' hit points by 10%. Or I can take veterinarian, and so it means that when my mount dies in battle, it has a 50% chance of being lamed instead of 100%. And then my governed settlements that I'm in charge of, because I'm good at taking care of animals, they grow in prosperity much faster. I do tend to go through horses like a lot, so I'm going to take veterinarian right there because it feels like a good choice. I've also got a medicine level up. We can do preventative medicine, which means we get 5 more HP, and we get 30% of our HP back after battle if we fall. We've got self-medication, which increases our healing rate by 30% and our movement speed by 3%. I'm going to take that one right there. That one didn't really affect our army altogether that much, but it did make our character quite a bit more effective just at moving around, and I think I've got movement speed bonuses from other skills anyways. I don't really have a whole lot of quests that I'm playing around with right now, so I guess we'll kind of just head back over this way. What do these guys have here? What kind of quest are they rocking at the moment? So Rothard, he wants me to train some troops for him. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that. That's a really good quest, and it pays a ton of money, but like it's going to require me to come back over here, and I'm trying to head over to that war with the Empire, I think. What do you guys have? You need help with brigands. Yeah, let's see if we can help out with that. Let's go fight some brigands. So let's see here. The hills outside of our town are infested with brigands, and he wants us to hunt them down. Okay, let's go do it. We'll go kill some brigands off real fast. We should see them sprinting around the periphery of this place pretty soon. There's a small army of them right there. We're going to dive straight on into combat so you can see how this works, just in case you've never seen the game before. Combat has been changed quite a bit, too. The combat has been refined, and it has been tightened up quite a bit, which I do appreciate. It didn't really have that many problems at release. I feel like the combat was more or less like in line with the previous game, where the combat didn't need a whole lot of adjustments, but at the same time, they have fiddled with some of the weapon damages and some of the proficiencies and things like that to sort of, you know, make the whole thing feel a little bit better. I'm just going to send my men in to attack. That's pretty much all I'm going to do. This horse guy right here might have a rough time. All right, so there's the bad guys right there. Oh, I missed. Unfortunately, on my way by. Did they already spear my dude? I think they did. Oh, they speared me too, dude. I've been speared. Unfortunately, the AI is really, really good at spearing me. Let me see if I can take him out. And it looks like they're kind of like on the retreat right now. Skills in this game, if you've never played before, they work just like in Oblivion or in like Morrowind. The more you use a skill, the more it levels up. So hitting guys with your sword, you get sword skill. Stabbing guys with your spear, you get spear skill. So on and so forth. You ride a horse, you get horse riding skill. It's pretty easy to lock down. That's our first group of bandits right there that we had to take out. So we got to do 2 more before this quest is going to be resolved. Hopefully we can get ourselves into a siege battle too. Siege battles are kind of a mixed bag right now in Bannerlord. I feel like the land battles work very, very well. I feel like the siege battles do not, depending on location. It seems like the sieges work okay. So the sieges were buggy the last time I played the game. They continue to be buggy now. The only real issue that you're going to run into with sieges and why they are buggy is that the siege machinery needs to be kind of like fiddled with. So for example, catapults will instantly destroy battering rams. I don't think that that should be the case. I think the catapult should probably kill everybody on the battering ram and reduce its HP by like 40%, but they should have to make repeated hits to destroy it. When the battering ram dies instantaneously, you're forced to put up ladders, and that's where the problem begins. The ladders are absolutely broken. So the siege ladders in this game, your unit's pathfinding gets stuck on them like all the time, and so you'll end up losing sieges that you absolutely should not have lost simply due to the fact he's just outside my reach. Simply due to the fact that you've just got too many ladders, and the ladders do not work. And so your guys will just stand there at the base of the walls and get shot with arrows the entire time. It can be a bit of a headache anyways. If the siege does not involve ladders, so it's got like towers, there's less bugs, but it's still kind of buggy. Like, it's better, but kind of the same. And so siege battles obviously need to be looked at with the pathfinding to make sure that those are working effectively. That was one of the things that I noticed almost instantaneously when I came back to the game, is that the siege battles can be a headache depending on how many ladders are involved. The AI seems to really struggle with climbing ladders for whatever reason. If there's no ladders, so if you're in a siege that has like siege towers and a battering ram, less problems. They'll batter the front gate, and then you'll go in and fight as the enemy tries to sally out. Or they'll just go with the siege towers, which are kind of like 70-30. Sometimes the siege towers work perfectly fine. Sometimes they get stuck on the siege ladders, just like they do when they're going up ladders themselves. And so that's definitely an area of improvement that I think the developers could kind of jump in on, is like sieges. You've done a great job at fixing the other stuff inside of the game. So like the weapon balance, the skill balance, the fight balance, all that kind of stuff. But sieges are still kind of a nasty, disgusting mess. Dude, there are a lot of looters around here. So many people turning to crime right now. This area needs economic stimulus. Let's get on in here and kill this last group while we hang out. But I do feel, by and large, the handling of the game feels pretty good. So combat feels good. The skill system is absolutely fantastic. They've also implemented permanent death into the game. And so when the game released, you had to opt into permanent death. And you still do, for your character personally, so that your lineage will matter, and when you have kids, you transfer over to them and you play as them for a little while. But that being said, permadeath is now default enabled for everyone in your army, or I'm sorry, everyone on Earth that is not you. So like, let's say that like 5 or 6 lords get into a battle with each other, right? 5 or 6 lords get into a battle, 3 to each side, just to keep it simple. There's a pretty good chance that those lords are going to die in battle if they're on the losing side of that fight. Hell, some of them might even die if they're on the winning side of the fight. And so it's added a little bit more of a meaningful progression of the world, I guess. The lords that you are hanging out with and friends with right now may be dead within a few months just from combat injuries and whatnot. Sometimes they survive, sometimes they don't. And to me, it makes the relationships that you forge with these lords a little bit more meaningful because you miss them once they're gone. Like, if you've got that lord that's been fighting alongside you now for the last, like, 2, decades of gameplay, and then he goes down in combat, and you had a really high rep with him, and maybe your daughter is married to his son or something like that to unify your families, it's definitely kind of a sad moment, but the deaths do seem to occur very, very frequently, so you're going to run into that almost instantaneously. I do think that that's really, really cool that the game now forces the lineages to matter, and you can opt into the same thing with your character if you want. I don't tend to do it because random javelins and random arrows tend to claim a lot of characters for me, but then again, I assume that was probably how medieval combat was anyways, random javelins and random arrows taking out people all over the place, so you can take it as realism as you want. I don't tend to enable it for my character. I just sort of retire whenever my kids grow up and I want to take over as their characters after their education and whatnot is done. But that system is now working and actually enforced inside the confines of the game, so keep that in mind too. I haven't been upgrading any of my troops, and I probably should. But, let's just wipe out that last group in auto battle. I'm feeling brazen right now. Feeling untouchable. They have rebalanced the troop trees, so we'll take a look at those too. I mean, if you don't have, a categoric knowledge of the game and its troop trees, it's probably not going to be that pertinent of information for you. But when the game came out, it was sorely, sorely, sorely balanced. Certain armies were almost guaranteed to get stomped within, a year of the game starting, and other armies had this tendency to sort of steamroll and take over the entire map. They fiddled with the economic simulation a little bit. I would say that they fiddled with it too much, but it has slowed down the steamrolling. I've been streaming the game now for probably about a week, and I've been playing it in my free time, and as of yet, it actually seems like it's quite a bit harder to take ground in the current build, because you've got to financially support that ground and make it all happen, and the lords seem to kind of struggle with that a lot of the time. They can take it, but holding it becomes kind of like a headache. Speaking of other changes that have been put inside the game, you see how they're creating armies right now? They've made this much easier on you. Back when the game first came out, people made armies, but you didn't know where their army was at. It would be like, well, their army was near Cranarog 5 days ago, which virtually means that they are nowhere near Cranarog now, and they could be anywhere. Now, you get these big nifty symbols on screen, which some people might say is immersion breaking, but I actually really, really like it, and they indicate where all of your mustered armies are at. So that you can go join up with one a lot easier. I think that's a fantastic change. There's nothing that I can complain about with that whatsoever. It saves the player downtime, and one of my important motives in talking about games is always to kind of stress that games should have respect for your time. The amount of time that you put in, you should be rewarded for that, and the ultimate sin for any game is to encourage you not to play it. And so, if a character's just running around the map looking for an army, not doing anything meaningful, that's wasted downtime. That's basically disrespected playtime that the game is not rewarding you for or punishing you for. You have no agency in that situation. You're just looking around for the next action point being bored. And no game should ever encourage you to kind of not play it via downtime. That's something that I believe very, very wholeheartedly. And this is a mechanic that single-handedly sort of eliminates one of the big sources of downtime, which is searching for armies to join when you want to get involved with the action that's taking place on the map. I've now forgotten what the other thing that I was going to talk about was. I got derailed. I started talking about those little icons that they added onto the map. We were talking about the economy. The economy is kind of a mixed bag right now. I think they have over-nerfed the economy. So as you're going through the game, if you've never seen this before, you earn money, and you can use that money to buy businesses, sort of Fable style, that will just go about their day-to-day and earn you money from the profits of the thing that they're producing. That's been nerfed more or less into the ground. You can't really make a lot of money from that anymore. You don't really make money from caravans anymore. Heavy caravans you can make money from, and town-to-town trading you can make money from, just personally moving things from one location to another. But owning businesses is not inherently altogether that profitable right now. You kind of have to adjust your tactics in the current build for making money from buying businesses into kind of just moving things around from places where there's a surplus to places where there's a shortage. You can still earn money, and you can still make enough cash to pay your army and get stuff done, but no longer are workshops money printers. They are basically worthless at this point. I'm going to join up with this army, and wherever Vashorki takes us, that's where we're going to go. This may not work out for me very well, but let's just join up with Vashorki, and we'll just hang out over here. There you go. We've added ourselves, and I can talk freely. As for other things that have been added to the game, they have added a little bit of variety to the quests. So there's a couple more quests that have been given that come from both towns and from cities and from villages. So there's a few more activities there. They've also added board games to the game. I know that sounds dumb, but for the life simulation aspect of the game, those being added is kind of fun. They've added in things like backgammon and checkers and like 7 or 8 regional board games that are played in different countries. You can go to the tavern and find a game master and you can kind of like wager on your play, and then you can just sit there and play checkers with him if you want to. It's one of those little features that like I don't really use, but it is one of those things that's kind of immersive because you have to sit down at the table before he'll schedule a game with you, and then, you know, when you finish the game, whatever the position that the pieces were in, when you stand up from the game, they will still be in that position until you go back to the city menu and leave the tavern. Like, it's just little cool immersive things like that that they've added that I think probably deserve some kind of acknowledgement in making the game a little bit more immersive. It looks like we're sieging this city right here, so we'll kind of see how that goes as we go on a limb. Hopefully it's not a ladder siege, otherwise you're going to see firsthand the problem with ladder sieges, but I suppose we'll see. I actually don't have any food right now, so I think we're going to have to leave the siege and come back. I've run out of food. Let's go over to Ismail Krog, and we'll see if we can pick up some grog over here just to keep my soldiers happy. I think they're going to starve before we get into the siege, so hopefully they got a little bit of food over here. My biggest concerns as of right now are the siege balance needs to be fixed, and then the other half of it that I think could potentially be fiddled with is just the menu lag. I think those should probably be priorities. This game worried me. Like, I did not like the original release. I didn't think it was very good. That being said, I do very much enjoy playing Mount and Blade, and so it's not like I'm cheering for this game's failure or hoping that it's going to fall apart. Oh, we might be able to tackle somebody over here. Nope. I was going to try and spread them out, because if an army comes along, we're going to have issues. If I stand, like, right here... they're still trying to avoid our siege. All right, I'll join back in with the army because we got a little bit of food left to go. We're laying siege right now, so let's get on in here and I'll show you some of the issues firsthand that may come up while you're doing siege battles. To hop off my horse first. Luckily, I brought a shield and a bow this time around, so I can kind of contribute a little bit. They've changed the way that looting works in armies now based on your chunk of the army's contribution. So, like, if you're in a 600-man army and you have 50 guys that are under your command, if you end up killing, like, 15% of the enemy, you get 15% of the loot, which can actually turn out to be very, very lucrative if you put your men in a flank position and you manage to sweep really, really hard on, like, a big 1,200, 1,500-person battle. You can end up with a lot of cash. You can end up with a lot of money and a lot of goodies. All right, let's get on in here, dude. I'm going to go with the battering ram and just hope that I don't get destroyed. We do have a siege tower around here somewhere. I saw them constructing it. Or they might be putting down ladders. Who knows, dude? I thought we had 2 siege towers, but oh, there's one over there. And that one is moving, so we're definitely involved over on that side. And they're probably going to deploy ladders on this side, would be my thought. I'm going to get down in this ditch, maybe. Actually, I'm going to try to get behind this cover real fast. They do have ballistas, though, so we'll have to watch out for that. I'm not trying to get taken out by a ballista on my way up here. And, ooh, we're already bleeding men. We're being shot horribly. Feels terrible. All right, well, let me get in behind cover over on this side. And when they start to deploy ladders, hopefully I'll be able to point out what's going wrong. I think it just has to do with too many people trying to get access to the point at the bottom. And fixing that is going to be kind of hefty on processing cost, would be my thought. They were talking about refactoring the game's entire code, and that really, really worried me. But it seems like the refactor is underway. Yeah, you can see them over by the ladder over there, and they're already kind of getting confused a little bit. Actually, it looks like they're going up in their time. Oh, they kicked that ladder back down. They must have killed the guy that was holding on to it. Yeah, you guys should stay behind cover like me, dude. That or dress up like something other than a blue guy. We're rolling in here like dabba-dee dabba-die right now. I'm blue, dabba-dee. That is the theme song of Sturgia, in case you didn't know. The ladder seems to be working over there, actually. Well, never mind. The one on the right seems to get clogged. It was working for a second, but as you can see, they seem to struggle with the ladders. The pathfinding seems to get really, really confused about where they can access points from. I'm going to go over here, and we're just going to, like, mess around with this front gate. But yeah, the sieges and the menu lag, those are the 2 big concerns for the game right now, as far as I see it after putting, like, another 100 hours on into the game. They get kudos for the rework of the skill tree. I think that's absolutely amazing. They did a great job making the skill tree more meaningful than it was previously, which I felt like was a major problem. When you're playing an RPG, you want to feel like your progression matters and that it's helping you build towards something. And not having that is kind of a bummer. Oh, I got him. Sir, your head is kind of in the way. If you could, sir, if you could move your head, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. What's this guy doing over here? Oh, he's moving. I don't know if I can hit that right there. That seemed kind of, yeah, that seemed kind of narrow. I might be able to get him right there, though, depending on how divergent my shot is. Hey, we got him. Nice. Interesting opportunity to work on some archery points right here, because I don't think I've been leveling up my bow, like, at all. I waited too long on that one. That guy's out in the open now. Oh, I hit the wall right in front of him. The denial. Hey, there's a little bit more damage. He's also... Hey, I got him. Nice. So that's a kill right there. I missed his arm a little bit. Probably a little bit higher. Nope. A little bit higher. Dude, this bow is basically a slingshot. We got to work on this. And that one's over his head right there. Whatever. How are we doing on the gate over here? Are we in? Oh, we're in, dude. Like, we're in there like swimwear, man. All right. Well, let's take the town then. Looks like these guys are storming up onto the walls. It looks like they're mostly getting the action done already. Yeah, a couple of archers over here that we could probably slam up on. Maybe get some... Ooh, that guy got hit in the ween, dude. They hit that guy in the ween with a javelin. He ain't never having kids again. People shooting at us from behind, too. Taking the walls is kind of a sketchy experience, isn't it? But yeah, things that I would give them kudos for: expanding the quest system, adding the board games, making the game a little bit more balanced with regards to combat, reworking the entire skill tree. Thumbs up. The menu lag, thumbs down. The siege, probably thumbs down. I'll be honest with you. Oh, this guy's trying to take me out right now. This man wants the smoke. Okay, I'm not trying to 2v1 right now, so if we could not 2v1, that would be great. There we go. I'll kill him off. There's another big dog right there, too. Are we almost done with all the dudes on the walls right now? Like, we've got to be getting closer to getting done. Okay, they're fighting up on the tower right there, trying to get to that point. This guy right here is still blocking the lat. Oh, there's a big old messy lump of them over here in there. All right, well, I'm going to hang out right here. And I'm just going to kind of fire arrows at people because it feels safer than being in whatever that disgusting scrum is right there. Oh, they tried to push me off, dude. They're shoving their way around. Oh, no. Our big old Zerg mob glomp system here is definitely not working in my favor. The AI tends to take precedence, and they're able to push you around, and you kind of tend to struggle with pushing them around a little bit more. Are we done here, or are we just all shouting, "Yah"? Like, if you guys want to shout "Yah," that's all good, dude. Like, "Yah, yah, yah, yah." Like, put some bacon on it, you know what I mean? But if we could finish off some of these bad boys, that'd be great. All right, so the siege is finally over. They dug out whatever little guy was hiding up on the top over there. We got a little bit of morale. I got 10% of the loot. That's actually not bad for a castle siege. I'll take that. That definitely is, that's all right for a castle siege. Yeah, dude, 10% of the loot. I mean, it's only 100 guys inside of here, so maybe it's not going to turn out that great. Couple of prisoners. Sounds good. What do we have inside the loot pool? Anything worthwhile? Like some Gambesons or something. Oh, we got the Vambrises, dude. The Vambrises are nicer than what I'm rocking right now. And they look cool because they're like fingerless, dude. I've got like Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero gloves on right now. So I can play that whenever I go into combat. But yeah, Bannerlord. In 2021, I think it's definitely in better shape than it was when it released last year. That's 100%. My honest opinion is that the game is in a much better state than it was when it released. It was heartbreaking for me after I played this game for about a week after release, just kind of realizing how many things were missing and just kind of how unsatisfying the whole thing felt. I'll be honest with you. But now it's actually like playable and enjoyable, which are really the two kind of fundamental components of a video game, aren't they? I hope you enjoyed this little foray on into the game. This was meant to be kind of like a little podcast news update as to what's going on with Bannerlord as of right now. It's in decent shape. The modding scene still has not come together for the game, which is kind of a bummer, but I get it. They've been patching with like these tiny little patches like every week or so, and so it's kind of hard to develop mods that are stable under that environment. So I kind of get why most of the modders are sort of like chilling and waiting to see until they get like a long, stable build that lasts for a while before they start fiddling with things. But yeah, if you haven't played Bannerlord yet, now is a good time to jump on in and check it on out. I think the game is in better shape. It's still got its problems, and if any of the things that I brought up worry you, then by all means, keep an eye on it. But they did a better job in the last year than I expected them to do. And so anyways, I kind of, when they said code refactor, I figured it was over for this game. I'll be real honest. And the fact that they've actually managed to pull off like some meaningful things that they've fixed about the game makes me happy, because there wasn't like a huge number of things wrong with it when it released. There was just kind of like things wrong with it, and like some of them are major, like the skill system not working. Like, obviously you're playing an RPG, dude. You want your character to feel rad. Like, you want to be rewarded for the time that you put in, and so I'm glad that they fixed that, because that was like the #1 thing to me personally that needed to be fixed. I'll see y'all later. Thank you for joining me. I have been streaming this game, and I plan on streaming it not super frequently, but here and there on Twitch, so you're more than welcome to join me over there. You can also check out my Discord. I hope you liked this. Let me know what you thought about this checkup. I tried to do it in kind of a different little format rather than the way that I normally do things. I'll see y'all later. Thank you for stopping on in. Hi, do, and take care, everybody. This was Bannerlord.